Well, weren't these a pleasant surprise? Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 action movies that were better than we expected. For this list, we're looking at even more action movies that really surprised us with either their quality or sheer fun factor. You should never judge a book by its cover, and the same goes for movies. We're excluding superhero movies, which deserve a list of their own. Number 20, Red. This movie's whole ethos is that underestimating someone or something can come back to bite you, so how appropriate that it surprised us. Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, Helen Mirren, and John Malkovich star as former assassins and special agents who seemingly retired and left the game, but retained their deadly skills.
I haven't killed anyone in years. That's sad.
Hence them being tagged as Red, retired and extremely dangerous.
Bad move, Grandpa.
Much like the legion of goons who make the mistake of thinking these retired badasses will be pushovers, audiences didn't expect much from this one, and got one heck of a surprise when it turned out to be one of the most fun action flicks in years.
Feel better now?
Yeah. Wanna get pancakes?
Number 19, The Equalizer. And speaking of movies about retired action heroes, Denzel also added his entry to the subgenre with this 2014 flick.
Gotta be who you are in this world, right? No matter what.
The film plays to a lot of familiar tropes. A quiet, mysterious man with a shady past is just trying to live a peaceful life when he meets a young girl in need of saving.
9,800. Cash.
For what?
Of freedom.
This forces him to brush off his former skills and bring the pain to some unsuspecting baddies. Yep. Definitely sounds like a movie we've seen a few times before, but Denzel's legendary on-screen charm and the directing chops of Antoine Fuqua really helped this movie rise above its well-trod premise.
When you pray for rain, you gotta deal with the mud too.
Number 18, Speed. These days, Keanu Reeves is one of the biggest names in action.
50! Stay above 50! Alright?
But back in the mid-90s, he was still settling into action roles after an early career more defined by goofball comedies like Bill and Ted.
I'm not here for you. Let's not do this. Stop the bus! He can't. Shut up!
But this now classic action flick helped put Reeves on the track to action stardom, something that definitely must have come as a surprise to audiences at the time. Reeves plays a young cop thrown into an insane situation where he finds himself aboard a bus rigged to blow up if it goes below 50 miles per hour, leading to one insane stunt sequence after another. Number 17, The Bourne Identity. Once in a while, an action movie comes along that completely changes the game for years to come. And this is one of those movies.
I can't remember anything that happened before 2 weeks ago.
Lucky you.
In addition to cementing Matt Damon as a viable action movie headliner, the film also helped introduce styles that would become a staple of 2000 action movies going forward, like shaky camera work and rapid-fire editing during fight scenes. The style has its detractors, but you can't deny that at the time, this was something new and dynamic for the action genre. We're guessing that audiences back in 2002 didn't expect to see this movie break new ground for an entire genre. But boy, were those folks wrong.
You're gonna go tell him that Jason Bourne is dead, you understand?
Where are you gonna go?
Number 16, Bumblebee. Michael Bay's Transformers movies have their fans and detractors, both among movie fans and devotees of the Transformers franchise as a whole.
Do you speak?
But virtually everyone found themselves enjoying the series' 2018 spin-off, which injected a ton of heart into the series and tweaked the franchise's visuals to be more appealing to old-school fans.
Did you think you could hide?
Transformers diehards were instantly won over by the opening scene, which showcases new character designs much more in line with the classic appearances of characters like Optimus Prime, Soundwave, and Shockwave.
Contain it! Dismantle it! Strip it down to parts!
Casual movie fans, meanwhile, got something more than the usual mindless action, with a story with a surprisingly strong emotional core. Number 15, Atomic Blonde.
Your mission is to connect with Percival and do whatever it takes to get that list home.
Female-led action movies may have been a rarity in the past, but the late 2010s have seen a resurgence in movies focusing on butt-kicking women, and we are absolutely here for it.
I'm impressed.
You've got some balls breaking in here.
One of our favorite recent examples is this entry starring Charlize Theron as an undercover MI6 agent sent to Berlin during the height of the Cold War to retrieve important intelligence. Many dismissed it at the time as a female-centric imitator of John Wick, in large part due to it being helmed by the same director. However, the film surprised audiences with its unique action sequences, effortlessly cool atmosphere, and the take-no-prisoners performance by Theron.
This only ends one way.
What are you talking about?
Number 14, True Lies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's career as the ultimate action movie star was in full swing in the 1990s, and anybody expecting him to start winding things down was in for a disappointment.
May I see your invitation, please?
Sure. Here's my invitation.
Re-teaming with Terminator director James Cameron, who helped put Arnie on the map, the future Governator continued his winning streak in 1994 with this fondly remembered actioner.
I've only one more question, Mrs. Tasker.
What?
Do you still love your husband?
Schwarzenegger plays a devoted family man who moonlights as a world-class secret agent who must balance his two lives. You know how it goes. One moment you're on the trail of stolen nuclear warheads, the next you're suspecting your wife is stepping out on you. All in a day's work, really.
You're fired.
Number 13, Shoot 'em Up. You may think you know what an over-the-top action movie really is, but unless you've seen this 2007 Clive Owen vehicle, you do not know jack.
Get your things. We're going.
Things start simply enough when Owen's character, a mysterious badass with a shady past, runs across a woman in distress. But it's around the time Owen kills a guy with a carrot that things start to go a little crazy.
Eat your vegetables.
While largely forgotten, this movie is absolute insanity from almost start to finish, with enough over-the-top kills and ridiculously cheesy one-liners to satisfy any action fan.
You've blown your load.
It's basically what would happen if Bugs Bunny were transported into a modern action movie, and we love every moment of it.
My God, do we really suck? Or is this guy really that good?
Number 12, Edge of Tomorrow.
A film that could be easily summarized by calling it Groundhog Day but with aliens and Tom Cruise is a hard sell, to put it mildly. And by the time of the film's release, most audience members had already dismissed it as another brain-dead Cruise action fest.
What are you doing?
Find me when you wake up. What? Come find me when you wake up.
And yet, those who gave the film a chance found themselves watching an intelligent and well-crafted film. With Cruise, the most likable and human he's been in years, to say nothing of a surprisingly badass turn from the film's leading lady Emily Blunt. If only we could relive the day of the film's release and be surprised all over again.
You don't talk much.
Number 11, The Raid. Before 2011, Indonesia wasn't a country that often came up when it comes to action cinema. But that completely changed with the release of this entry, which took martial arts movies to whole new brutal levels.
Tugas kita sederhana. Kita masuk, tangkap dan seret dia keluar.
Our hero Rama is a member of a Jakarta SWAT team that participates in a raid on an apartment building owned by a local crime lord. But when the team gets inside, the doors are locked and every resident is unleashed upon the unsuspecting team. The film is a showcase of silat, a martial arts form native to Indonesia, and the cast pulls absolutely no punches in showing what the style can do. Trust us, folks. This is one of those movies that will leave you wincing. Number 10, Kingsman, The Secret Service.
Manners maketh man.
A raucous send-up of spy movies like the James Bond series, this recent favorite proves that England can still roll with the best of them when it comes to action movies. Based on the comic by Mark Millar and Dave Gibbons, the film follows a young man named Eggsy who gets inducted into a super-secret spy organization. Under the tutelage of Colin Firth's refined older agent, Eggsy's street smarts prove to be an asset in the world of international espionage when a rich philanthropist unveils a sinister plan to overturn the world order. This movie came totally out of left field for a lot of audiences, who were instantly won over by the charming cast and over-the-top action. Number 9. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
Remember what we said before about reviving old properties? Well, this 2011 reboot of the Planet of the Apes franchise is another exception. Anchored by a fantastic performance by the king of mocap himself, Andy Serkis, this account of how hyper-intelligent apes took their first steps towards global domination surprised audiences with its intelligence and pathos. Creating a lead that was both sympathetic and relatable despite the whole being a monkey thing. Rather than a cheap cash-in attempt to revive a dead franchise, this entry revitalized the Ape series, leading to a whole new series that continued with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes just a few years later.
Number 8. Mission Impossible Fallout.
Walker, what's the matter, hon? Afraid of a little lightning?
Over the years, Mission Impossible has just gone from strength to strength, provided of course we ignore that disappointing second entry. After the excellent Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, audiences could have been forgiven for assuming that the franchise had peaked. But Fallout proved that that wasn't the case at all, with Tom Cruise still nailing the stunts and action sequences even in his mid-50s. With a welcome return for Rebecca Ferguson and Sean Harris, and the addition of Henry Cavill, the movie was a well-rounded, consistent, action-packed extravaganza that set a new benchmark for the series.
This crazy son of a bitch is trying to ram us! Go!
Number 7. Alita: Battle Angel.
Heroes? All I see are junkyard punks, assorted cyber trash, and a bunch of drunken motorball burnouts too slow to play the game.
When it comes to live-action adaptations of manga, expectations are generally low. Fans have been burnt before. Published in the early 90s, Yukito Kishiro's cyberpunk manga Battle Angel Alita received its first adaptation with an animated OVA in 1993. Based on the first 2 volumes of the manga, it became an instant cult classic.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil.
So, when a live-action adaptation finally climbed out of development hell and onto the big screen, there was both excitement and trepidation. Critical reception was mixed, with many pointing out plot holes, but praising the immersive visuals. It received a much better reaction from audiences, who gave it a 93% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Number 99!
Number 6. Mad Max: Fury Road.
Reviving a property that's been stalled for over 20 years rarely turns out well, but director George Miller's return to the series that put him on the map has since been hailed as one of the greatest action movies of the decade. With a new lead in the form of Tom Hardy, and bigger, badder, and more explosive action than any of the previous installments, the 4th entry in the Mad Max franchise wins additional points for a phenomenally crafted story, endearing and memorable characters, and an amazing score by Junkie XL. Miller spent years working to get this film made, and against all odds, his work paid off.
Number 5. The Terminator.
Come with me if you want to live.
Here in the far-flung future, we know that this is one of the most beloved action films of all time. But bear in mind that the 2 biggest names to come out of the seminal film, star Arnold Schwarzenegger and director James Cameron, were virtually unknown back in the early 80s.
I'll be back.
Arnie's biggest film before this was Conan the Barbarian, and Cameron's only previous directorial credit was Piranha 2: The Spawning. Who would have guessed that the passion project of a little-known director starring an Austrian bodybuilder with relatively little acting experience would redefine sci-fi action films as we know them? Certainly not us.
Number 4. RoboCop.
Your move, creep.
We wouldn't be even remotely surprised if audiences back in 1987 sat down to this movie expecting a mindless sci-fi action flick. But those folks forgot one thing. Nothing is ever what it seems when Paul Verhoeven is at the helm.
Where is Clarence Bodiger?
While the film more than delivers when it comes to action, the satirical elements Verhoeven managed to weave into the tale of a cop turned into a cyborg law enforcer have helped it remain a classic.
Drop the gun. You are under arrest.
Its dystopian version of the future, where big corporations manipulate both crime and the police, seems less far-fetched every day. Top-notch action and social commentary? We'd buy that for $1.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Number 3. John Wick.
I heard you struck my son.
Yes, sir, I did.
And may I ask why?
Yeah, well, because he stole John Wick's car, sir, and killed his dog.
This Keanu Reeves vehicle didn't look like anything too special from the initial trailers, and mostly seemed like just another revenge thriller, but with a dead dog rather than a murdered wife or girlfriend. But when Keanu suits up and sets out to avenge his dearly departed doggy, the resulting carnage is some of the most breathtaking gunplay in early 21st century cinematic history. Rather than the shaky camera work and frantic editing of many contemporary action films, directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch opted to keep the action clear and coherent. And the result is pure action movie bliss.
How good's your laundry?
I'm sorry to say that no one's that good.
Number 2. The Matrix.
At last.
What do you get when you combine martial arts, Japanese animation, and Plato's allegory of the cave? Throw in some Descartes' First Meditation for good measure. Well, turns out what you get is one of the greatest science fiction films of all time.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
Matrix took everyone by surprise. In terms of sci-fi, 1999 was supposed to be the year of The Phantom Menace. The Wachowskis had only ever directed a single feature film, and Keanu Reeves' previous forays into sci-fi, Johnny Mnemonic and Chain Reaction, had been critically panned. But together, they opened our eyes to a frightening but thrilling new world, sweeping up 4 Oscars and launching a blockbuster franchise in the process.
You're empty. So are you.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. The Gray, for Liam Neeson vs. Wolves. Smokin Aces, for Style by the Truckload. Jack Reacher, for a charismatic Tom Cruise doing his own driving stunts. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Die Hard.
Welcome to the party, pal!
It's an action movie classic, and one of the greatest Christmas movies ever made. Since Die Hard's release, actor Bruce Willis has become synonymous with action hero. But at the time, he was a sitcom star known best for the comedy drama Moonlighting, where he played a wisecracking detective.
Never even think about going up in a tall building again. Oh God, please don't let me die.
In fact, the role of John McClane was originally offered to Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Harrison Ford, and a string of others. They all turned it down, uninterested in the project, which actually started out as a sequel to 1968's The Detective starring Frank Sinatra. Fortunately, Willis signed on, and the rest is cinematic history.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.